All right, hey everybody, how's it going? It's Charlie Morgan here, and welcome back to another video for the channel or wherever else you might be watching this one. So today I'm going to be interviewing an awesome client of ours, a guy called Martin. And Martin started working with us just over 6 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, 6, 7 months ago. The UK-based marketing agency down in the southwest, close to me actually. And Martin's added $27,000, just shy of $30,000 in new monthly revenue to his agency since starting to work with us. And the goal of today's interview stroke informal conversation is obviously to get to the bottom of this and for Martin to sort of share his experience with everybody and you guys, so you guys can learn a bit more about our program and how it works and everything. So Martin, why don't you just start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about who you are and your agency?
Hi, Charlie. So my name is Martin McAndrew, and I'm the director and founder of an agency called Blue Thirst. We're based in sunny Bournemouth in the UK. We work in the e-commerce sector, and we work with clients that turn over between kind of 1 and 5 million across lots of different strains of mostly e-commerce, but some other kind of slide shots of that as well.
Nice one. Awesome. So you started with us about 6 months ago, and if I'm not mistaken, Martin, we managed to land you through cold email.
You
Um,
did.
so we used the magic to get you on the call. So before you started with us, obviously now you've sort of added a significant, multi six figures a year to the business. Before you started with us, where were you at in your agency, and what were you really struggling with?
So as an agency, we've always been really good at delivery of results. What we didn't have was a scalable way to grow new customers. So we knew if we want a client, what we could actually do for a client was great work. But what I really wanted was a plan that I could project income with, and I could plan recruitment with, and I could plan growing an agency around something that was scalable. So if I put X effort in, I would get Y results out. So all of our work tended to come from referrals, tended to come from clients who have had good experiences passing the word on, but nothing that was really scalable. So what I really wanted was a process where if I wanted 2 new clients a month, I knew I needed to put a certain amount of effort in, and that would return me 2 new clients a month. If I wanted 4 new clients a month, I would have to put twice as much effort in as 2 clients a month. And that's what I was really looking for.
And now that you've been working with us for 6 months, that's sort of, if I'm not mistaken, what you have in place is that predictability.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, amazing. Because when I remember our call, all back in what was it like summer of last year, and I think you were quite skeptical. It took a fair bit of objection handling to get you over the line on the call. Had you tried some sort of like program or other done for you appointment booking stuff before? If I'm not mistaken, you tried a few things that hadn't worked out.
Yeah, so we'd taken on people who would appointment book for us, who would do cost per new client signups. Nothing kind of really worked. Everything was kind of promised. I've done a few courses, so yeah, I was skeptical. There's a lot of people out there that kind of promise the world.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few of them. We've been through a lot of them in our agency as well. So let's sort of detail out the timeline then. So you basically you come on board with us, you've got this problem, you're a bit skeptical, we managed to get you over the line with our guarantee and everything, which I'm sure was quite useful for you. And so you hopped in. Now obviously we've got quite a fair bit of content and lots of different stuff, and we'll dive into what's been useful for you in a second. But what were your like sort of thoughts on the content in terms of how it unfolded for you and when you started using it?
Yeah, so there is a lot of great content, and it's a really good structured approach. What I found the most challenging was to just accept what you said and do what you say.
Yeah.
There's a whole load of stuff like we tested going after dentists as our first vertical sector, that was me not wanting to ruin e-commerce because that's what we normally work in. But actually, no, in your videos, you say don't swap between vertical sectors, pick a vertical sector and nail it. And I think being the type of person I am, I was questioning everything. And once I actually shut my brain up and just right, well, you've paid Charlie this money to do this course. Let's do what Charlie says. If we
Yeah.
do what Charlie says and it still doesn't work, let's then go back to him. What we can't do is not do what Charlie says and expect to get good results. So it took me a little while just to get my head around the fact is, this is a process that can work, but you've just got to follow the process. If you try and freestyle it out and try and do your own bits within it, you're moving away from the optimal. And yeah, so yeah, once I actually followed the plan, put the commitment in, and it is, it's not a, I
Small
wouldn't
amount
say,
of commitment.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's not business for free. You're not getting something for nothing.
yeah.
It does take work. It does take commitment. But that's what growing a business is.
Yeah, I think that's quite a common theme as well. Is because we work with agency owners that have previously been burned by another course or a program or other done for you appointment setters, and they come in and they've got such skepticism around appointment booking. Their belief system is so sort of like messed up with it because they believe it's really hard, and there's no way it's just a question of watching some videos and implementing some processes to make it happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, you started going for dentists, but I think you sort of then realised that it was e-commerce you wanted to go after.
Yeah.
So before then, you had amazing service delivery, but you were plateaued, you were struggling. Now you're in a position where you really can just think, okay, I want a client, I'm going to send this amount of emails. In terms of like, and I don't want to dig too much into this personally because this is an interview and we're on YouTube and stuff, but how do you feel compared to like how it was going before and how it's going now? Emotionally, what's the difference for you as the owner of the business?
Yeah. I think previously the issue that I had was no matter how hard I worked and how hard I tried at new business, we just weren't getting growth.
Mm,
Now I know that if I want new business, I have to do a certain number of tasks in a certain way.
mm,
It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work. But if I want an extra 5K next month, if that's what my forecast for next month is to deliver new business,
yeah.
I know what I need to do to deliver that. And the only way that I won't get that is if I don't do the work to get that 5K's worth of work. So, yeah, I now know what I need to do to get the results that I need. And we've forecasted 2022 out. So I have billing targets for each month. So I know the jobs I need to do each month to hit that
Yeah.
billing target.
That's awesome. I guess it's just having that sort of predictability and clarity.
Yeah.
Because I think for you can probably relate to this in those early days of running an agency when like you can build to a certain point through goodwill and referrals, but then you really do hit this sort of cap and you exhaust your network and then you're like, but I want to keep growing, but I don't want to be comfortable. And so yeah, I totally hear you and empathize with that. So your what are your goals in terms of the business for this year? You don't have to be super specific in terms of like how much you want to make or what you forecasted, of course, but it'd be good to understand like whether you want to double or triple or increase by 10.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So every year for the next 3 years, we want to double business. So this year will be twice as big as last. The year after will be twice as big. So yeah, that's our plan for the next 3 years, is to double in size every year.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And you talked earlier about how like service delivery has always been your advantage. And you're in the e-commerce space. Now, as I'm sure you're probably aware, there's a lot of marketing agencies in the e-commerce space and also lead generation that really struggle to keep clients and get results. What do you think separates you guys as an agency from other agencies in terms of maintaining these clients?
Process. So yeah, absolutely. One of the things that kind of came out, we kind of from this course, and other things that we're working on as well, is you need processes. Even down to the CRM system that you guys talk about with the reporting. If there's a problem, and yeah, we've had problems. I'm not going to say it's all been smooth sailing, but yeah, where we've seen a drop in results, because you've got a process, you can identify where that issue is. So we were generating some data, and we had a freelancer that was producing bad data for us, and within 7 days of running that data, our conversion rate dropped off. But because we had the process to monitor that, we could go, you may have panicked and gone, is our video script wrong? Is our collateral wrong? Is this wrong? Is that wrong? But you look at it and you go, that data source has changed in the last 7 days. That completely aligns with our drop in performance. So we've kind of taken that and extrapolated it almost throughout the whole business now.
Really?
So if we're finding we have a set of process and a set of reports, if something's failing at some point, we've now got a metric that we can go, that's what's causing the issue. So yeah, it's applying that methodology to a whole business. And yeah.
I think that's how Bo and we really like, I mean, I see Imperium and our agency, we really just see our business as a set of spreadsheets.
Absolutely.
And when you can think in spreadsheets, which isn't an easy thing to do, you can sort of just like a business is just a collection of numbers, right? and all you have
Yeah.
to do is know how to tweak one dial and decrease the other and read data properly. And I think it's definitely better than relying on emotion. So that's something you extract, but you learn that from the Loom Alchemy, I'm assuming the Loom Alchemy process.
The
So
approach, yeah.
so the Loom thing, the cold email thing was, if I'm not mistaken, the main thing that you built and set up, and that was the process that really contributed to this additional 20, 30 grand in revenue.
Yeah.
In addition to that module, is there anything else from the program that you found to be really helpful? Maybe in terms of your mindset or business, it might have just been the Loom thing, of course, but
Yeah, the loom. Well, the loom's what changed the lever. That's what tweaked the numbers. But it was quite good. Some of the pieces about mindset as well,
mm,
and kind of doing things that you don't really like. And yeah, because your mindset is what kind of drives everything. I always kind of wasn't really a believer of that. In the last 12 months or so, I've kind of started to explore that a little bit more and actually understanding. One of I think it was one of the bits you put about you're always trying to live in your comfort zone,
yeah,
and actually if you're wanting to go out and achieve something, it's your body holding you back, and it's a natural thing.
mm,
If you were out in the fields, your body doesn't want to go into dangerous places, so it's a natural resource of your body to say, this might be dodgy, I don't think we should do it. And
yeah,
actually, as a business owner, you kind of haven't got that luxury. If you want to grow, you need to go out into the wilds,
yeah.
and the wilds can be scary, and your body's designed not to go to scary places. And as long as you can understand that's the metric, that's what's going on in your head, you can go, oh, right, this is just my body trying to protect me or my mind trying to protect me, but it's actually where I need to go.
I
That
think
was that was quite useful.
Yeah, I do think like biologically, if you like, obviously refer to this in the program as you've mentioned, but for everyone watching, just for the context, obviously it's like you've got to realize that like as humans, as Homo sapiens, right, we were raised on these African plains and in coming across Europe and stuff all those years ago. You can read *Sapiens*; it's a good book, and I realized that when I read *Sapiens*, and it's like we are biologically like our limbic system is designed to avoid pain, but also to treat anything that isn't in our current situation as scary, right?
As
And
a
so,
threat,
like,
yeah.
yeah, and so there's a threat, and so your body, like physically, can't consciously tell the difference between you wanting to do outreach to grow and going over to that tree to climb up it and pick an apple, and there might be a snake in there, right? There really isn't, like, obviously when you think about it, there's like no way is that the case, but biologically speaking, like, why would it not be? It's the same sort of principle applies. And so yeah, we're quite heavy on mindset, and I'm glad you've started to explore that, because we find a lot. We find that with Imperium, there's two types of agency owner. There's agency owners like yourself that have been in business for a while. You're pretty seasoned and you've got experience, and you just haven't cracked the outbound code yet. But then we've also got agency owners who are really new to the game, and they're coming out of this freelance model, and they haven't got a team or any sort of experience. And like we find that like people in your situation have this advantage of experience, but then they also, and this is not an insult anyway, but like they have the disadvantage of being sort of locked in the ways they've done things, and
Yeah,
that manifests.
expectation. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then that manifests itself in terms of like, I've bought this course, but I don't know if I believe what this guy is saying because I've never seen it work. Whereas with the freelancers, it's like they've got no experience, which means that it's more difficult for them to extrapolate things and put it into other parts of the business, and they're usually a lot more emotional as well, which is important. So you've done the Loom thing, you've got that mindset sort of thing together. Did you do any of the sales module, or was that not really too much of a problem for you?
Yeah, so my background is I'm a techie. I became a freelancer. I then took staff on to handle. I've never been sales trained, so the sales training was actually quite useful. I Before I kind of watched the videos, I thought a lot of the sales training was just BS, but actually
Most of it,
going,
most of it is, to be fair. Yeah.
but it's psychology and it's human psychology. So I approached it with I had to really approach this with an open mind, because like you said, the experience of having being promised things and them not delivering in the past was jading me. And
Yeah.
once we did the Loom Alchemy, and I never thought I'd be able to send an email with a video to a big company and them to open it, reply to it, and have a meeting. I didn't think that would ever happen. but it
That's
happens.
the mindset thing, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
that's really because we have that at the start of the email stuff is the outreach epiphany is that main video
yeah,
on the beliefs. And it's like, look, if you believe that booking appointments through cold email is hard, then you will make it hard because
yeah,
as humans, we don't act in like without accordance with our beliefs. And so we usually find that all you have to do is fix the beliefs and then everything else
yeah.
just falls into place. Martin, you talked about team earlier.
Mhm.
With your agency, what's the team structure like at the moment?
Growing.
Good.
So yeah, so it's we're implementing kind of a management process, and we're looking to understand how. I mean, I guess every marketing agency is going to have the same problem that getting good talent in the business is hard and it's expensive. And we're looking at ways of developing a team where, we've got clients that are spending 10 grand a day on media, that we've got suitably trained staff members that can handle that sort of budget spend. That's kind of one of the challenges that comes out of the excess of the Loom alchemy is you've suddenly got this work
Yeah,
and you have to, I mean, because it kind of goes right back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the video.
yeah,
You can probably get to 500,000 on wings and a prayer quite easily. And by having a close team that works well, you could
yeah.
probably get there. If you want to get beyond that, it's process.
Mhm.
That's what makes an agency get into the millions or the multiple millions is a good process and a good structure. And that's as soon as you start getting into those numbers, it all becomes about process. It all becomes about the numbers that run a business. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of phase that that Loom Alchemy has pushed us into is,
Mhm.
we're not just a small number of people in a room. We are a business with processes, with checks and sign-offs and
Yeah.
numbers. And
Yeah.
it's taken us from, a little agency. We were, a lot smaller when we started. We're now a lot bigger. And we're now going through all those issues of
Yeah,
growth.
now you've got all these problems to face. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
It is such a good point though, because like we find with agencies is so like everyone they can't get clients, right? And so we give them this solution. It's like, okay, well, here's how you get appointments. And then they get appointments and then they're like, well, I don't know how to sell. And so we're like, okay, well, here's the sales training. And
Yeah.
then they get the sales training and they close clients and they're like, I don't know how to onboard. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, here's an onboarding funnel. And then, and then they onboard people and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do service delivery and we give them that. And then like, I don't know how to report and we give them that. So like what I've learned is that like appointments is like to fix a business, you don't just have to get more appointments because like if you can have like the best appointment booking machine on the planet, but you'll never have a true long-term wealth cash flow generating machine because it's holistic and that's just one small piece of a huge puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like what we are going to be working on this year, this might be cool for you as well, is another module sort of at the start of the program, which is more sort of like agency foundations. We're going to call it agency genesis. And the purpose of that will be to sort of change the way of thinking. And one of the main themes, and you sort of just briefly touched on this, is that decentralized model. Because like what we've realized is you can get from 0 to 500K a year, and then you sort of have this hard limit, but that hard limit is put in place because everything runs through you. And
Absolutely.
there's only so much energy and time and cognitive output that you have as a person. And so like really getting from that point anywhere beyond that, you have to learn how to just release a bit of control, which I'm sure you might have had to
Yeah,
do.
and
It's not an easy thing to do.
it's blooming scary. For a decade, the results that have come in have been down to me, and now I've got to rely on a team. And yeah, it's a scary thing to do, but there's a process to do it. Every business that has got to that size has gone through it. There is a process to do it, and what I think is great about the stuff that I've done with you guys is it documents that process. And yeah, it's you're not the first person to have ever done this. It's
Yeah.
been done millions of times.
Mhm.
Watch the videos and go through it and just implement what is suggested, because that's what's done hundreds and thousands of times to businesses that have gone through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were going through the content, because obviously like we try to discourage this sort of copy and paste approach, because we've got these step-by-step instructions and we follow the instructions, but along the way we're like, okay, well, here's a few example scripts and here's some example copy and here are some example subject lines. Use your knowledge of your niche to amalgamate them together. Did you take that sort of approach in your systems, or did you sort of just like grab it and do what you wanted to do? Either way, fine, because you still got the result. But yeah.
Yeah, so the way we did it is we started very much with the template stuff. I'm quite lucky that I've got a couple of mentors that I use as well. Some of the guys that have got lots of agency experience, some of the guys that have got lots of financial experience, and I just sat down with them with the templates and went, right, what do you think of this? We took their feedback and we amalgamated it all into one script and one email. And interesting, since we did that, which was 5 months ago, we've never updated the scripts and we've never updated the emails. We've always run the same version. We've never needed to actually to change that. I think one of the things that I'm very aware that I could get sucked into is changing things too quickly. And if you suddenly have a drop off, jumping into
yeah. I think that's where the data comes in. Because obviously, you know, as you're aware, for everyone watching, we've in the Loom section, and we've also got cold calling and cold messaging that we'll touch on a second. It's like we've got for every single system we have data. Because I hear this a lot where, like, I'll go to an agency and they'll be like, "Yeah, I've got a system for cold email," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what's your positive reply rate?" And then before they give you an answer, they're like, I'm like, "Well, it's not a system."
Yeah,
because anything that isn't tracked isn't systemized, and so it allows you to keep yourself in check. Because, you know, I still have this, like, where I'll open my email inbox and see no replies from yesterday, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, is the system broken?" And I'm like, "Charlie, chill the fuck out. It's one day. It's not a rolling average." And then I go back in the next day, I've got like 6 of them, and I'm like, "Oh, it was balancing itself out. The average is 3 a day."
Yeah.
Did you use any of the other modules other than Loom, like specifically for appointment booking? Was that the main one?
Loom was probably the main one. I kind of dipped in and out of the other ones, but yeah, Loom was the main thing that we used.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So what are your objectives next then? So you scaled up, you've now got a predictable and reliable system for appointment booking, you've got your forecasts, you've got everything. What's on your to-do list now? Like, when you look at your goals and your forecasts, what's the sort of like focus for you next?
So we're refining the whole pipeline again. So we've kind of gone through the life steps of new client all the way through to them being a client. We're starting to understand the lifetime value of those customers. We're now taking that and plugging that back into the beginning again and saying, you know, we were looking at e-commerce clients between this size and this size in these sectors, but actually now we've done a few iterations of this. Are we putting the right people in the top of the funnel, and we're optimizing that? So we're trying to get into bigger businesses now. So we've moved our proposition slightly to a larger business proposition and a slightly different target audience.
That's amazing. I think you'll find that Loom still works just as well at those bigger companies. We got a guy who I will probably interview in the next couple of months called Jimmy. James, you may have seen him in the Facebook group or not. I'm not sure if you hang out there. But he signed a $110,000 deal.
I did see that. Yeah.
An 18-month contract, and he's 7 days into using Looms. And that's really reassuring, because we've got other agencies that do sell significantly higher ticket than 1 to 2K a month retainers. And the cool thing is they're a lot quieter. Typically you find, like yourself, like I think we didn't really hear from you much, and then I checked in with you one day and you were like, "Oh yeah, we've added like 20-30 grand in monthly revenue." I was like, "Oh, okay, let's get on an interview." And you sort of just get down to work and get to it, and that's awesome. By the way, have you checked out the team building module in the program? Because we did might be useful for you for the team stuff.
I looked at, I read what some of the recruitment stuff. I need to go back in and we've got the work coming in, so the priorities have changed to delivering it and building the team. But yeah, absolutely, I need to keep learning, keep going through all that stuff.
Well, if you have any other bottlenecks around it, just a message away or a coaching call question away. But that's awesome. Well, I don't really have any other questions here. I just wanted to sort of understand, like, because this is useful for me, because it also allows me to see what people find to be the most valuable and what they're thinking and how they think about the program. If you were and I ask this in all the interviews. It's a bit of a loaded question because obviously I'm supposed to ask it, right? But if you were talking to someone who ran an agency who was really skeptical of us or just the course in general, as everyone tends to be of courses, if you could say something to that person and they were thinking, do I buy this or not? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I got to admit, I was in exactly the same position. I didn't think that a large limited business would open an email from a Gmail account, watch a video that I'd put together, and then book through a Calendly link an appointment with me. Didn't think it would happen. I was in a position where we had a little bit of cash. I thought, well, you know what? Let's put this in. If I lose it, it's just another lesson that I can chalk down to experience. And within the first month, I was getting appointments and improving. And yeah, I still can't believe that big limited companies would open this through a video and book it. Even now we're doing it and we're getting the results. But yeah, it is working.
That's amazing. Well, we'll leave it there, Martin, because I know you're a super busy man, and no doubt you've got some lovely sunshine to enjoy down in Bournemouth. Is it great? It's really grey up here in Bristol at the moment. I'm sure it's sunny down there.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's just quite cold and overcast today.
We'll be into spring soon, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Well, we'll conclude it there. Now, one thing I will ask is if by any chance there's an e-commerce store watching who might want to talk to you and your agency, how could they connect with you, or what's the best way to people to
the easiest way, head over to bluethirst.co.uk. All of our contact details are there, or I'm Martin McAndrew. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, all the usual places. Do reach out. Yeah, more than happy to have a chat.
That's Blue Thirst, like the colour blue, and then thirsty as if I'm drinking water.
Thirst like you need to drink. Yeah, I was training for a channel swim, so I was in the blue, the sea a lot, and because I'm diabetic, I was doing it for Diabetes UK. I was thirsty a lot, so that's, found the domain existed and got there.
Did you swim? Did you swim the channel?
Yeah.
No. Bloody hell. I was reading Ross Edgley's book about him swimming around the whole of the UK, and I was
same.
I can't even swim like 3 lengths of a pool, so good on you.
It's the same mindset to doing 80 loom videos in a straight go. It's the same. You're doing it. It's going to be horrible. It's going to hurt, but you've got to do it if you want to get to the other side.
Yeah, exactly. We're not on African plains anymore. We're in 22nd century with fridges and microwaves, so we're all going to be good. But we'll call it a day then, Martin. Greatly appreciate your time, and hopefully we can do another call like this in 6 to 12 months when you've scaled an extra 50 grand or so, which I've no doubt we'll be able to do.
Yeah, from the Learjet.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Excellent. Cheers, matey.